Oof. The last episode of technically part 1 of Danmachi season 4 is a big oof from me. That's a really bad spot to leave it, considering the fact that they are doing a split cour for the series. So it's going to be like at least until January before we see the second part. I think people are saying January, but ouch. I think we all appreciate the fact of whenever they do a split cour, because that's obviously a sign they need more time. They can't, to keep the quality up, they need to take a break. But it still doesn't stop the fact that we're gonna stop it there. I'd rather them have stopped it at the episode 10 point, if that was the case. But yeah, this is my spoiler-filled review of season 4 of Danmachi. For some people, I don't think you can technically spoil anything Danmachi. It's kind of a mix between stupid, fun, ecchi harem stuff and, yes, dungeon crawling. But there's some people that are super sensitive, so I'm going to put the warning out here. But let's jump into it. Yes, Danmachi Season 4. I am very pleased with how this series has been evolving and getting better and better. And yes, I think a lot of people have been echoing the same mindset that this has been kind of a bad adaptation up until this point because they're taking stuff out. A lot of my frustrations about Danmachi seems to be answered by people saying they just didn't adapt that part. They adapt that incorrectly. He doesn't forget about these cool things that you like. They just don't adapt it right. But having the creators actually being more involved with the project, it does really feel like that. It really does feel like a lot of the quality of this series has been jumping up. And it might just be because this particular story arc is really good and very powerful. But I think also having a 2 cour, they could have easily done this in a single cour and really rushed things. But they're taking their time with the story. And I really do feel it. I feel like it's taken its time building into these stories and doing a really good job of it. Now, I have my misgivings still. There's still quite a bit of things in this particular season that I did not like, but we'll get into that later. But yes, started out great. Great reintroduction to all the characters, getting them all geared up. We're seeing the improvements of each characters. Every single character in the main team that we're kind of, watching at this current moment, all have seen significant growth over the storylines. And they did a really good job of portraying each of their growths, and even those that have not seen growth themselves, like Lily, she doesn't feel like she's seen growth, still showing that she's willing to do what she needs to do in order to get that growth. And finding her place in the group, despite the fact that she's still level 1. Poor girl needs to get power leveled or something. Just let her hit the last hit on a mob. But no, like I said, it was a great introduction to the whole season. Seeing how much Bell has boosted up, like I joked about before, we don't ever get to see the whole stat screen, and suddenly we finally get to see it. He's basically power leveled up. He's insanely powerful now, and you definitely see that as they finally go down the dungeon. But yes, this first arc essentially is having them run into this unnatural moss monster. But I think this is where we start to get one of my 3 biggest issues with the season. There's 3 big ones, and I'll go through each one of them. But we're already seeing the first one of these things, and that is Cassandra. I love Cassandra. She's super cute. Love her nature, love her character, all that kind of stuff. But she is this is the prophecy. We need to undo this prophecy. There's a prophecy coming. We're all going to die. And we keep having to see the prophecy, and the prophecy never really comes to play. And then we immediately go into the next arc after that, and then we have to start it again. She sees a prophecy. Prophecy's super bad. We're all gonna die. We can't do this because of prophecy. I hate not these characters. I hate these kind of story beats. I really hate the here's doom and gloom. We're going to have the doom and gloom. Be ready for. Now, granted, it could turn out in the second part, prophecy comes true and we lose all these characters. Highly doubt it, but it's one of those things where if I'm seeing in this prophecy every single named character in the cast and they're all dead, I know the prophecy's wrong. So why are we showing it over and over again? Now it can get pretty darn dire. They can get super dark with it. You could possibly lose somebody. It's just this is a story beat that I absolutely despise. And the fact that they keep showing it frustrates me. Get into the story. Continue on. The now. But that aside, I did really enjoy this segment of episodes. I think especially, and I think anybody that knows me knows exactly why I love this episode, or this segment of episodes. Lily. I loved seeing the growth in Lily. Because she's not the strongest, but yet she's willing to stand there and fight to the death. Like, she showed in this segment that she is not willing to run away. Her standing amidst basically tragedy was fantastic. Her speech was fantastic. Seeing all the wounded adventurers step forward, it was just a really powerful segment. Now, granted, yes, it kind of gets a little bit thrown to the wayside, a little bit downplayed in the idea that it all comes down to Belle. Like, we always expect it to all come down to Belle. If there's ever a danger, the characters themselves are never going to step forward and solve a situation. It always has to be solved with Belle. But it was still a strong segment. I still really enjoyed it. And yes, seeing how they evolved Haruhime's ability, which was really fantastic. Just seeing everybody stand up, despite the fact that, yes, I think it's a little bit downplayed by Belle, was still really cool. And yes, despite me being a little bit upset in the idea that everything gets solved by Belle, it was still a really cool conclusion to it. I really did like it. The introduction to Marie was fine. I think the only struggle I have there was that over here, with everything that was happening with Lily and all them, it was really dire. It really had my stomach turning. I was really kind of fearful for what was going to happen to the characters. But then, despite that, we have Belle over here flirting with random mermaid girl. And yes, technically, Mermaid Girl pretty much completely foreshadows everything that's going to happen in the next arc. Like, everything that I see that's going to be a problem, I'm like, oh, that's why Marie's here. Marie is the fairy in the bottle, basically. Marie is the fairy in the bottle. If things get really dire in the next arc, all I know is that a bottle's going to open up, and don't worry, everybody's saved. But yes, that's fine. But now, end of the second arc, which is still technically going on. This is where I get my second 2 of 3 that I really hate of storytelling that was introduced in that part. The cackling bad guy and the, oh my gosh, no, Ryu can't be an evil bad guy. She definitely didn't murder that guy. Everybody's hunting her down, but she's gotta be innocent. Why won't you tell me, Ryu? What happened? You have to tell me that you didn't do this. And she just can't tell him what's going on. We have to have 5 episodes of Belle pleading to her, tell me everybody's wrong about you. You're not a mass murderer, right? I can't tell you, runs away. Like, can we just tell him what's going... Do we have to drag this out? But yeah, that aside, cackling bad guy, which I absolutely despise, aside, thank goodness they resolved that whole situation at the very end, because I was like, I don't even want to start up the next cour if it's going to be more cackling bad guy. The cackling bad guy that nobody can take out, and he just sits there and does terrible things while he's cackling, and nobody wants to take him out. That aside, the birth of this weird thing from the lower floors is definitely interesting. This is for sure the point in which we have created something that is pushing Belle to the corner. Besides the Minotaurs, we still have technically the Minotaurs, the thing that Belle has always been working towards. Like, at first, we have 3 stages of Belle so far. Belle has always been looking up to Eyes, and then now he's always looking up to this Minotaurs that he really wants to challenge again. And now we have this crazy, I don't know, dragon skeleton thing birthed from the floors themselves, which is an interesting idea. Despite the cackling bad guy thing me hating, I do like this new introduction of this idea that the labyrinth's always been a breathing thing. And so when you create such devastation within it, to have it birth something that essentially is to keep it from falling apart is interesting. Because yes, what's to stop somebody from just going down there and putting a whole bunch of explosives inside of the labyrinth and just nuke the whole thing? It's like a breathing thing, and it's got these inner tunnels within its body that it doesn't want to be fractured, despite the fact that there's worms kind of run around in it. It seems like something of large scale damages it. It almost can't heal itself fast enough, so it gets angry and it sends these antibodies to get rid of whatever's inside of it. But again, it is something that is definitely pushing Belle to the corner. Having this reflection thing, which technically is really counter to Belle's super powerful fireball, or bolt, sorry, was cool seeing how he used that with the blade from Hestia to counter him, which was pretty cool. But again, they've done a really good job portraying that this thing is super bad. Yes, it does play into Cassandra's prophecies, but it's something that's definitely pushing Belle to a corner, and they obviously, portray that by having him have his arm cut off and his neck nearly snapped, and him conveniently fall right next to this stream of water where obviously his arm will fall into, so that obviously the mermaid will come by and save him. I love seeing comments where like, wow, I didn't really think that they were going to do that with Marie. And like, he literally fell right next to the water. Where do you think Marie's going to be? In the water. Again, that's his fairy in a jar. That said, overly obvious fake out aside, really awesome fight. Really enjoy seeing this. The new side of Belle, really a lot more confident. Getting a new title, which was fantastic as well. it really does seem like Bell himself is really coming into his own character, and I really do appreciate that. So I just, again, similar to what I said with the previous arc, I really do hope that we can get some points of letting the other characters shine. Not just introduce new waifus and then just have them be on the sideline doing not much besides holding the fort until Bell shows up. It was really cool to finally get a lot more clarity behind Ryu, despite my issues with the whole she's the bad guy, why won't she just say what she's actually doing? That way she's no longer the bad guy. Getting a full backstory of what happened with Ryu and her familia and this other familia with the cackling bad guy in it was nice. Hopefully following this whole incident, Ryu will just become a part of the party rather than always being the mysterious side character. I think what it all comes down to is that typically with Danmachi, while I do enjoy the harem-esque aspects of it, all these cute girls, again, like I've said before, I feel like it's kind of turned into the waifu of the season. Here's a new waifu, he goes after waifu, saves waifu, incorporates waifu, waifu's never seen again, basically. And while we have gotten away from the cool, fun harem aspects, I think the focus has gone into something that another aspect of the series that I really like. I like the RPG aspects. I like the dungeon crawling aspects. I like them getting into those dungeons and looking around and seeing things. And yes, for the most part, it is slash nasty monster and monster dies, but every now and then, example, the moss boss. The moss was something unique. It had a unique trait about it. If it hit you with these old darts, it started growing in you and it took over your body and it'd kill you. And then you have the aspect of this new boss where it's more about the fact that he can't be hit with magic. He reflects magic back to you and he's extremely fast. I like these things. And we'll probably see something with this crazy looking dragon thing. CGI. We'll see something with that CGI dragon thing. Hopefully they fix the animation on that thing and don't do CGI next season, but we'll see. But I like it being like RPGs where the bosses have something unique about them. It's not as simple as you have to just hit really hard. You have to figure out a way to take it down. With the Moss Boss, he basically took it over by pure brute force of his flaming blade. While it didn't work for the new one, he tried to do some way of a double reflection and absorption, and that didn't work, but he'll have to figure out a way to take it down. That's cool. I love that. Again, that was the initial draw of the series, was the whole status thing, and where you had to look at your back and level yourself up, and you had unique abilities and stuff like that. It's getting back to the heart of what I like about Danmachi. Great characters, cool RPG aspect of it, dungeon crawling, getting stronger, overcoming things. While in the middle, fun moments with Hestia, because Hestia is Bestia. Actually, Lily is Bestia, but Hestia is great too. But yeah, super hype. Again, really bad point to leave it at, having Bell basically be at the lowest floors possible, which honestly is where he's going anyways. It's like one of those things of like, yeah, maybe he doesn't want to go there alone, obviously, but that's technically where his goal is. So if he's afraid of being in the lower floors, he's got a problem, because what we kind of established at the beginning of the season is in order to allow humans to coexist with the Xenos, the biggest problem is the dungeon. Orano says that his goal, if he wants to make this coexisting happen, is that he has to end the labyrinth. And the only way to end the labyrinth is to go to the very bottom floor and defeat and find something. There's another one of those little, like, do we have to speak in riddles? Just say what's down there. Like, some mechanism is down there at the bottom of this labyrinth, and if he can undo that mechanism or undo whatever's down there, everything's going to be hunky-dory. So that's obviously endgame. Now, granted, they could do, like, I don't know, another labyrinth shows up somewhere else, or we have battles between familia again. But the goal right now with the labyrinth is to undo whatever's down there, and that will allow the coexistence, and Bell can have his Xenos waifu on the surface and not have problems. But yeah, overall, really love this season so far. It really does feel like this is kind of the writing that I enjoy. This is the action. This is the drama that I enjoy. Again, despite the fact that I have those 3 issues, which one is gone, the other one has been resolved. Cassandra's whole prophecy thing's still kind of there, but we'll see where it goes from here. But that's my thoughts on the season 4 of Danmachi so far. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of the season so far. Do those 3 things bother you as much as they do me? I'd love hearing it from you guys. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that considers, and y'all take care.